I'm from New Jersey. I curse a lot. I talk fast. I'm real. I'm raw. Is that okay with all y'all?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. So I'm just going to leave this screen up so we have it. Again, my name is Henry Eisenstein. Henry Eisenstein everywhere. You can check me out, follow me on Instagram, whatever. Alexis, by the way, thank you for having me, man. More than anything, you're a fucking brother. You're a hustler. Look at the fucking amazing people you put in this room. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming here, brother.
Okay, thank you. Let's give it up for Alexis one more time. So for today, I have some things we're going to talk about. I brought something for you guys just to kind of bring up the mood. Because yesterday you guys talked a lot about mindset, getting in the right mindset, but I want to talk about money today. So we're going to talk about money today, okay? Just to give you an idea, right? A lot of you guys, average commission check for residential real estate agents is a band, is about 10 grand. But this is what we fight every single day. This is what you sit in front of a seller or a buyer to try to get at the end of the day, right? Like, just to put it into some fucking perspective, this is 100 grand. Like, this is like every single time we talk to a real estate agent and say, hey, how much do you want to make maybe your first year, your second year, your third year? How many people want to make 100 grand this year? For show of hands. Cool. Who wants to make 100 grand a month? I'm going to talk about that today. In the month of August, we're right now on track to close about $1,050,000 in pending fees and commissions. I'm going to show you guys exactly how you can do the same exact thing. Before I get into that, I'll give you a little bit of my background. Like many of you, I also started in the residential business. I'm 30 today, and I got in the business when I was 20. Kind of fell into the industry. A friend of mine asked me to get my real estate license with him, and I ended up passing the test. He never passed the test, so my life changed forever, and his life never changed at all. I owe him everything because I wouldn't be in the real estate business without him. At the very beginning, I knew I needed a mentor, so the first person I reached out to was this woman. It was like a family friend kind of situation. She was doing about $20 million a year, a couple $100,000 a year. But I didn't realize how she was making her money. I just said, she's in real estate, she's doing well, I'm gonna go work for her, right? She was doing foreclosures. So my first year of real estate was me evicting people from their houses and doing cash for keys. Okay, I was watching Million Dollar Listing New York, watching Ryan Serhant make $100,000 at a clip selling luxury condos, and I'm evicting people from their houses. I was like, this is not what I thought real estate was about. It took me, by the way, 11 months to make my first dollar in real estate. 11 months. And I thought it was me. I was like, this industry sucks. So I was like, I'm in the wrong place. Like, man, this is terrible. And then finally, I left her. I went to go with a buddy of mine with a small brokerage. I ended up selling 2 properties. I ended up making 30 grand. I'm like, fuck, this is my moment. I'm like, hey, if I can do this once, I can do it again. And in that moment, I took every single dollar I made. I invested it in coaching. I invested it in software. I invested it in myself. And over the next year, I made $140,000. I was like, fuck, like, okay, like there's something here, right? I had a really low sales price. I had like a 280 sales price. Who here has like a sub 300 sales price? A couple of you. Who has a 1 million plus sales price? Just want to understand who's in this room. Okay, cool, awesome. For me, I was hustling my absolute ass off, right? Like, I learned through cold calling. I'm a massive cold caller, just like Alexis. Like, I've fucking ripped expireds, cancels, for sale by owners. My minimum standard for 3.5 years straight was 100-hour work weeks, 6.5 days a week. The only time I took off was literally Saturday evenings, okay? That was it. It was just Saturday evenings. After like 6 o'clock at night, I'm like, this is my time off. I would do 100 conversation days for over a year straight. I've made over 1 million cold calls in my career. And it took me 3.5 years to go from $0 to $100,000 a month in residential business. This is an old dashboard that I had, actually. You can see here, I was doing 12 closings this month, 95,000 in GCI, about $4 million, 2.44%. I kind of like talked about like it was me closing it or one of my salespeople on my team, okay? So I did 12 transactions, just to give you an understanding. Like when, about 36 months or so, from 0 to 36 months, we were doing $100,000 a month. I just want to be the person, your older brother in this instance, okay, in saying, hey, I've been down the path that you guys all want to. I've been making over $100,000 a month now for over 7 years. Just to give you an understanding, there's wrong ways to do it and there are right ways to do it, and I've made every fucking mistake under the sun. Because what people don't tell you is that this looks really fucking cool, except the fact that I had about, let's say, I had 80, so 15,500 of that was paying out my salespeople, so I had 80K left, and my overhead was 50 grand. But people only talk about making $100,000 a month. I was only making 300-400 grand a year net income. And then you have to pay Uncle Sam. It's half, it's your fucking silent business partner that takes half your money. So it's like you're only really making like what, 200 grand a year, and everyone thinks you're making $100,000 a month. This This is a way that people have been taught, because everyone's been taught, in order to make a lot of money in real estate, we have to sell a lot of fucking real estate, right? That's just what we've been taught. If I want to make more money, I have to sell more property. It is the most common way that people think that you have to make money in real estate is sell more property, which, by the way, you are correct. That is one of a few ways to make more money in this business. It's not the only way, though. And the problem is that we think about it as the only way. Like, the first thing I was always thinking was like, oh, I need to sell 100 houses a year. Like, this is the only way I'm going to make the money I want. I want to make $1 million a year so fucking bad. By the way, I was 26 years old, making $100,000 a month. I retired my parents at 25 years old. It was my fucking dream. Well, it's not what it didn't live up to the standard of what I thought it would be like, but long story short, it was like I wanted to make $1 million so fucking bad, nothing else fucking mattered. So the real raw truth is that, just to be real fucking blunt for a second, one thing that I think I did better than other people, because I'm a 2-time college dropout. I attempted on my life 3 times before the age of 13. I went through depression, suicidal thoughts, and even almost suicidal actions. I am not the smartest fucking person in this room, I can tell you that, but one thing I am is possibly one of the hardest working people in this room, but I'm also a fucking sponge for information and massive level of action. After I learn it, I go do it. So this is just to give you some understanding of where I've come from, and this is just to show you here, this is what I'm talking about for the month of August. I was on the car ride here, I just threw the numbers together real quick for the closings that we have, but it's just to give you an understanding. Just for the month of August, we got $22,250,000 for $1,030,000 in fees, 4.63% average commission percentage. Now, I'm double ending 100% of these transactions. So in residential, you'd call that about $45 million, $44 million in closing deals next month. So this is just to give you a reference. So everything I'm talking about here, I have done everything that you're looking to do, and I'm going to say, hey, you can do any of these options. There is a pro and con of each. Okay? I'm not telling you exactly which one to take. You choose. I'm just going to tell you there are pros and cons of every decision you make. There are people here right now, show of hands. I'm just curious. On a serious level, I want to just know people's goals. Who here, like, truly, like, goal setting wise this year, I just want to know, is your goal 100 grand? Is, like, actually, what is your goal this year? Like 100 grand, raise your hand. Cool. 250, raise your hand. 500, raise your hand. $1 million, raise your hand. I'm going to start with 100 grand. Let me be really specific. I'm going to boil it down. I'm going to start growing a little bit. If you want to make $100,000, more than anything, you have to fix your consistency. More than anything. Because $100,000, just to be blunt, this is not fucking complicated. It just means you're inconsistent. Because if any one of you guys is just consistent and you make your calls just like Alexis tells you, you do your expireds, you do your cancels every single fucking day, you have something like 30 conversations a day, you're probably gonna make 100 fucking grand a year if your price point isn't fucking $150,000. Let's just be honest. If you have an average $300,000, $400,000 sales price, an average of 2.5%, you're probably gonna make 100 grand this year. I mean, like, it's just your consistency factor. Fix your consistency and you will make $100,000 probably without too much difficulty in the real estate business. And I would even urge you that when it comes to consistency, just to be super specific, if you're working less than 5 days a week, you're probably not gonna make $100,000. Now, I could probably work an hour a week and make $100,000 a year because of what I've created at this point. But for all of you, if you haven't earned $100,000, work 5 days a week, be consistent, show the fuck up, and work a normal minimum 8-hour workday, and spend probably something in the consistency of 3 to 4 hours a day prospecting, you'll probably make 100 grand, okay? There's not too much other things I want to dive into for 100 grand, because I want to talk about some serious fucking money for a moment. Now to start making between 250 and 500, let me be fucking clear. If you want to do that and you want to work less than 5 days a week, you're in the wrong fucking business. Doctors who've gone to school for 12 fucking years. Real estate agents, let's be fucking real. Went to a crash course for 2 fucking weeks. You spent $500 fucking dollars to sit in front of a dumbass guy who told you how to, like, nothing in the license even fucking matters. And you're like, why am I not making 500 grand a year? Are you fucking serious? It's fucking bananas. So let's be real and raw for a second. If you think you can do that by working less than 5 days a week, you're out of your fucking mind. At least for the first couple years of your career. Let me be, and again, just to go back to this version of me, by the way, from zero, 36 fucking months of working 6+ days a week, every week, missing birthdays, missing weddings, missing fun, missing parties, missing all the shit that some of you care more about than earning more money. And by the way, both are fine. I'm not telling you what to do. All I'm saying is that you can't have both. If you want to make $1 million a year and you want to party your face off, you're probably in the wrong fucking business. Go be born from a wealthy family. That's how the fuck you do it that way. But if you want to make it yourself, you can't do both. You get to choose. And I'm not saying choose for the rest of the next 40 fucking years. I think people get convoluted in their mind. They're like, I have to do this for 40 fucking years? I don't want to do this for 40, I don't want to do this for 40 fucking years, right? Especially to make $1 million bucks. Fuck, it sucks. Right? Because by the way, you know what's funny? I heard this recently and it really puts something into perspective, which is everyone in this room will make over $1 million in their, everyone here will make over $1 million in their lifetime. $1 million will pass through your checking accounts, and some of you will be several million. Some of you will be tens of millions of dollars will pass through your checking account, right, throughout your lifetime. The question is what you're gonna fucking do with it and how fast you can do it. Every person on planet Earth, no matter how, even if you work at fucking McDonald's, right, making 40 grand a year, 50 grand a year, in a 20-year time horizon, 50 grand is $1 million bucks. They're gonna have $1 million pass through their checking accounts. So everybody will make $1 million. It's about how fast. Money loves speed. The problem is when you're fucking consistent, the speed doesn't catch up. You're so inconsistent, the money can't catch up to you. So to make 250 to 500, there's a couple key things you need to be thinking about. Number one, you cannot sell, or I'm gonna say most of the time, for the most part, it will be very difficult trying to make $500,000 a year if you're selling $300,000 houses. It just will be. Call a fucking spade for a second. And for some of you right now who go in your mind, well, wait a second, Henry, that's my market. I hear you. That was also my market. And guess what? I changed my market. I drove an extra 45 minutes or an hour to wherever the higher priced properties were, and I found where they were, and I fucking prospected there. It's not rocket science, for fuck's sake. Like I said, I'm a 2-time college dropout. I find where the money is, and I just fucking call where the money is. So number one, you gotta change your price point. Don't make it complicated, by the way, right? Really simplistically. On the paper in front of you, put whatever your sales price is right now, your average sales price. Just to give you some reference right here on this deal, 3.9, call it 4, what is that divided by? It's like 325,000, guys. Like this was a 325 fucking average sales price, I think, right? 12 sales, 3.9, it's like, yeah, it's like 325 grand. It's not like this. I'm saying most of you in this room will not make $1 million a year selling $325,000 houses like I was here. As an example, by the way, this is gross income for a second, just GCI, okay? This is not net $1 million, like I do way more now. But just to give you some perspective, this is 3.25 or so price point. This is 12 fucking sales a month, 144 sales a year to GCI $1 million bucks or so. I mean, that's about 100, so about 1.2 million. This is just to put something into perspective for a second. So most of you in this room will not do 12 sales a month. So in order to make $100,000 a month, just for a quick round number, make it fucking easy for yourselves. What's your average commission percentage? Just yell it out. I'm just curious. 3.25. What? 2.5. 2.5. 2.5. Okay, we'll use 2.5 as an example. Do you know how much money you have to put in pending, like a closed transaction at 2.5% in order to make $100,000? $4 million, right? $4 million bucks. So if you do $4 million, I mean, it's exactly what was on the screen, guys, right? $4 million at 2.5% commission is $100,000, right? So just to put things in perspective for a second, it's $4 million bucks. If you close $4 million in volume, which by the way, the bullshit bronze, silver, platinum bullshit is the dumbest thing in the fucking world. Because if any one of you guys is, by the way, anything besides a minimum gold in this room, okay? You guys are all gold minimum, okay? Which is, I believe, 10 million bucks, right? If I remember the fucking bullshit, what is it called? The
different companies have it.
Oh, every different company has a different one?
It's always like 100,000, 250.
It's like they have the stupid like awards that they give out, right? Like, okay, if you hit 10 million bucks, you're gold. If you 2.5 million, you're bronze. It's like the dumbest award ceremony in the world. It's like you get a fucking pat on the back because you sold 3 houses. Like, congratulations, you got a participation award,
you get a
right?
trophy.
Yeah, it's the dumbest thing in the fucking world. What I'm trying to explain to you guys is it's very difficult to make to do $4 million in business if you have a low price point. So find out in your market. I would urge you to do at least a minimum of 50 to 100% more than what you're doing right now. Find that market and prospect that market. Don't make it complicated. Don't worry about your, what you've sold or anything else, because just like selling your first house, which was all fucking weird for everybody, you just figure it the fuck out. There is not some better version of you that you need to be in order to sell the next version of the house. Because by the way, if you're selling a starter home at let's say 300K in a certain market, guess what? In this market over here, a starter home just happens to be 600 grand. It's still a fucking starter home. It's pretty similar type of clientele. It's not drastically different clientele. find where the money is, and prospect it. You will have the same commission percentage, 2.5%. It's 2.5% either side. I just want to sell the more expensive house. Now, I'm not telling you luxury, by the way. This is not a conversation to start going to waterfront properties and selling $5 million houses. That's not what this conversation is at all. It is finding a little bit higher price points and being a little bit smarter and saying, hey, every single year, my average sales price must go up by minimum 20 to 25 or 30 or 50%. Minimum, every year. Because all you're relying on, if you don't do that, is inflation. You're hoping and praying property values go up. And you're hoping and praying you will sell more houses than a year before. Unless you are strategic and say, hey, I need to constantly be looking where the next level market is. Because that will help you in boosting your income. Next piece of this. Going to, again, that one, by the way, that one shift will take you to 250 or so a year, okay? Next phase, 500. If you want to make 500 grand a year, get a fucking TC. Who here's making over 200 G's a year right now? If you do not have a transaction coordinator, pay them on a per transaction basis. This is exactly what I did. You hire a transaction coordinator per transaction basis. I started out paying this woman. She was like 70 years old. She had her license for 40 fucking years. She wanted to work from home. She was a super kind woman. She'd done every transaction under the fucking sun. I paid her $300 a transaction to start. I was only making 5 or 6 grand a deal. I mean, like, not like, this is an example, but like one of my price points was really low, right? So like, I didn't have a ton of money to pay these people, but $300 when a closing happened. I only paid her when the closing occurred. It's the easiest way to hire somebody to help you scale. My income originally, with that very first transaction coordinator that I hired, my income immediately tripled in 2 months because I got away from the bullshit dollar per hour activities. By the way, if you're inputting a listing, $20 an hour. If you're sending out an email, $20 an hour. If you're putting up a sign, $10 an hour, right? If you're doing all these small minimal activities, right? Even sitting a fucking open house, let's just be honest. Unless you're gonna do it like Garth does, like a fucking beast. Unless you're gonna do it like that, don't sit in an open house for fucking 3 hours and twiddling your fucking thumbs. That's not where the money's made. Unless you're also ripping phones at the open house, which most people aren't. Thank you. Right? 100%. You're just wasting precious time. So as an example, based on my income today, it's about $3,000 to $5,000 an hour for me, right? So everything in my life is delegated, just about. If I don't want to fucking do it, I probably shouldn't be doing it. If you're making 50 grand or 100 grand a year right now, you don't need to think like that, but you need to think in the lens of saying, hey, a transaction coordinator, which I will pay them at closing, okay, that little piece, that little adjustment in your business, instead of saying, I need to do everything, everybody wants me, I want everyone to say the word doctor, nurse. Doctor, nurse. You're the doctor, the TC's the nurse. They don't need you in every situation. If I'm the doctor, just like all of us in this room as an example, okay, and someone else walks into a doctor's office to get a checkup, do they meet the doctor first and shake their hand? No, they meet the secretary. The secretary checks them in. The secretary then walks them to the fucking room. Then a nurse walks in, does the whole fucking thing, check the clipboard, the whole bullshit. They give it to the doctor. The doctor's literally twiddling his thumbs, doing whatever the fuck he wants in his office, walks in that room, looks at the clipboard, talks to you for 40 seconds, says, okay, thanks, we'll do this, we'll prescribe this, clip, done, I'm out. He's out in 4 minutes. Guy makes 300 grand a year. Everyone like in this room, it is so common for residential agents to think that your client only needs you, only wants you. That's not at all what's true. You know what they want? What do they want? The result. They want a result. They want you to sell their fucking house. That's all they want. They don't want anything else. They just want you to sell their house. I'm here to negotiate the deal. I'm here to make sure you get the highest price for your property. But do you need me to open the door? Do you need me to open the door for you? No, you don't, right? You need me to make sure you get the highest price possible. And I have people who do every single other piece here to make sure I can do my job for you. That takes you to 500 grand a year. Now, think about how crazy this is. There are some of you right now, and actually I'll even layer this in. Consistency first, fix your consistency. Next layer, you're gonna fix your price point a little bit. Next layer is hiring your TC. Now, here's where the interesting pieces happen. 500 grand a year, you have a couple options. This option as an example, to me, if I were to do it again, I wouldn't do it this way. I started to hire salespeople. I hired junior agents per se. I brought them on, pay them, whatever percentage. The problem in the residential business is that it's a race to the bottom of splits. Everybody wants the highest splits, and when you bring on a junior agent, it's hard to be profitable. I didn't realize that. I just had mentors who had lots of agents on their team, and they put up lots of volume. So, by the way, just to give you an idea, I was like the 8th biggest agent in a company of 2,000 agents in my market. okay, at 25 years old. These are 40-year veterans, and I come in and fucking blow them out of the water because I worked my ass off for 3.5 years. So any one of you guys can achieve that, but the difference I want to talk to you guys about is actually the real fucking money. It's like, because here's the option. You can definitely go the junior agent route. I'm telling you, it's a very tough, profitable model, okay? Because if you just think about it openly, say you have a, this is your commission check, right? The agent that you're going to bring on, as an example, right, is going to want, let's say, 60%, more than 50%. A lot of time we try to get them at 50-50. I'm going to be honest with you, you're not going to get a decent agent. Okay, you can get a brand new agent who's maybe, makes some phone calls for you, right? But you're not going to get somebody who makes 100 grand a year already to come work for you if you're making 100 grand a year, right? But when you're making 500, and this is exactly how we're saying for scaling purposes to now somehow make $1 million, the problem is you end up having to try to find talented agents, people who are already making 100, but they're stuck. They don't know how to grow. So you need to create an environment so that they can make more than $100,000 a year. They make of their split, like net to their splits, okay? Follow me for a second. Then think about it like this. They have to make over 100 grand a year. Then you have your margin, which then you have to pay your expenses and have a profit on. It's not easy. So I want to give you some perspective. Imagine if, actually, I'm going to need more than this. Let's just take this, okay? This is just a commission check. Don't worry about how much money it is. But you take your money, and you, if you have more than a 50-50 agent, so I'm just going to take off this as an example. You have this much to give to the agent to make sure that they're satisfied with you. And then you have this remaining piece, which everyone thinks is so much money. The problem is that more than half of it goes to expenses. So then you're left with this much money of every single closing, thinking that you're crushing it every year. And then all of a sudden you put up $100,000 a month. Holy shit, I'm the fucking coolest thing since sliced bread, but you're making this much money every month. That's not cool. It might get you super, maybe get you a fancy watch. It makes you look cool because you drive a Porsche, but it doesn't mean you're rich. Now let me show you how to be rich for a quick moment. Let me give you an example, because I followed every single step you just talked about. But I'm going to add in a few things. I'm in the commercial real estate business. I don't do residential houses anymore. This is, by the way, not a pitch to sell you to stop selling residential houses and start selling commercial real estate. You just saw here, I sold a lot of residential real estate. I think it's a great business. If you want to start selling commercial property, I think it might be a smart idea to add it to your repertoire. Be a dynamic agent. Do it all. Now, I'll say it like this. The difference, though, between people who make, let's just say they get stuck at the 250 to 500 a year and the people who make several million, there's a couple consistent factors I'm going to share with you right now. One is there are people in this room where you are doing it all for lead gen. You're doing it all. You're doing the cold calls. You're maybe doing some Facebook ads. You're doing, mailers. You're doing open houses, and you're wondering why you're not making more money. Well, let me explain to you. What the big dogs are doing is that they have mastered one lane, one pillar of lead gen, and they're in the best in the fucking world at it. The reason why I make, we'll make $1 million next month is because we are the best in the world at one type of lead gen. Now, we do a lot, but I am the best in the fucking world at lead gen. My one piece. We do cold calling. We do 300,000 to 400,000 cold calls a month, just to give you some perspective on our team. Of course, we could do mailers. Of course, we could do all these other things, but we wanted to become the best in the fucking world at one thing. So think about what you do for lead gen right now. Who wants to give me an example of what you do right now for lead gen? Cold calling, great. How many cold calls do you make?
Per day.
Per day, per week, per month? I'm going to do the totals.
A triple line dialer, like 300 calls per session.
Per day? Or?
Typically 300.
Okay, cool. Are you doing that 5 days a week?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So 300 times 5 is 1,500, about 6,000 calls a month. We do 20x that every single month, just to give you some perspective. I'm not saying that that's wrong. What I am saying is that you need to think about it in the lens of saying, how do I do 100 times what I'm doing volume-wise? Just like if open houses is your, if that's your thing, then you should be doing 20 a week. And some people go, how the fuck could I do that? Well, here's the thing. I didn't start doing that. But Garth found a way to do 20 or 30 or 40 open houses a week. My thing was cold calling. By the way, at the very beginning of my career, I fucking hated cold calling, okay? I fucking hated it. I told my mentor, I would rather open up a kiosk at the mall versus do a fucking cold call. I'm like, I won't do it. I won't do it. The reason why I wouldn't do it is because I didn't know what the fuck to say. But then when you know what to say, it's the easiest thing in the fucking world. I sit in my chair. I put my feet up. My phone rings. I don't even dial it anymore. It just sits on the fucking table in front of me. I can work, and then it beeps when someone's on the fucking phone. So I can be doing whatever the fuck I want. It beeps, I'm like, hello, this is Henry with the EXP commercial, how you doing, right? It's that simplistic, it's not hard. And I can do that, I still prospect. If anybody follows does anybody watch my content? right? As an example, I still prospect. I still to this day prospect because I still do my own business. I still do $1 million in GCI a year on my own business plus my team. Just to give you some perspective. Everyone in this room, if you want to grow to $1 million, figure out how to do one lead gen pillar better than anybody else in the business. Right? One, go deep on one. Now look, if you want to do expireds as an example, I'm going to tell you right now, it is really difficult to have expireds and canceled data, that be your one lead gen. I'm going to be honest with you, it's difficult because there's just not enough of it. However, but we can focus on the cold call aspect. If you like making cold calls, then you should be doing 100 conversation days, as many days a week as you can, for as long as you can, until the money is indifferent. Now, if you don't like cold calling, which, give me another example. What does someone do for lead gen that isn't cold calling?
Handwritten letters.
That's what you do to generate opportunities right now?
For circle prospecting. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure you're one bullshit with me. Okay, so.
I've done it. That's not.
You look like you're bullshitting me. That's why I was like, look, so if you're doing handwritten letters, I would figure out a way, instead of doing, how many do you do?
It depends on the situation.
It's okay, but I'm just saying on average. I don't know, give me an example.
20 letters.
Okay, 120 letters. Okay, per week, per month, per what? Per week. Okay, cool. Figure out a way to do 120,000 a week. That is the mentality, and say, instead of saying, hey, I need to do all these different things, it's just figure out a system. And I'm not saying it's going to be, by the way, it's not going to go from 120 to 120,000 tomorrow. Yeah. I want to be very clear. I'm not stupid, but I know that you could go. With ease, if it was the only type of lead generation that you did, how many do you think you could do if you did nothing else besides that as lead generation for 4 minimum hours a day?
Dude, I know that all these lead generations are going to boil down to conversations, and that's the fastest way to do it is calling.
Okay, cool. But I'm saying, but at the same time, someone in this room, if you're going to choose to cold call as an example, which again, I'm not trying to say it's the only way, because it's not the only way. Now, don't get me wrong. Everyone has to be skilled at being on the phone because they will call you at some point. You need to speak to these fucking people to set an appointment. So it doesn't mean you have to cold call them first, right? I'm just being clear. As an example, my team also does about 25,000 cold text messages per week. So we do about 100,000 cold texts a week. Per month, right? So as an example, that's one example where we are not cold calling. They inbound, right? So I'm just saying, as an example, if you did nothing else besides the handwritten letters, what do you actually think you could do volume-wise besides 120 if you made it your only focus?
What else could I do?
How many, as an example? I'm not saying what else. I'm just saying, think about your time and energy and effort and how much you put into it to do 120.
Oh, it takes a couple hours.
I know it does, so I'm just saying, I'm being real with you for a moment. I'm in a moment with you. I'm just saying, I'm being serious. Yeah. If you took, how much time does it take you to do 120 letters?
4 hours.
4 hours, great. So if you did 4 hours a day times 5 days a week, you'd be able to do 5x that per week, correct? Okay, right? So it puts you at around it's 500 or so? Yeah. So 500 a week. Instead of 120, you could go right to 500. Now, nothing changed. All that you changed was how you are now spending your time every single week. Now you could do 500. Now, how many deals are you closing based on the inbound of your letters?
2 to 3 a year off of those.
Okay, but hold on. So you do 2 to 3 off of 120 letters a week. I just showed you how you could do 500. Now we just did a 5x. Now that just shows you as a perspective, that can take you from 2 to 3 closings a year to 15 or 20 with one change. How do you generate most of your business though?
Cold call.
Okay, great. So as an example, how many hours a day do you spend doing that?
2 to 3 hours a day.
Okay, great. So if you spend, instead of 2 to 3 hours, you spent 3 to 6 hours. Instead, right? So now you can double that. How many closings did you have last year for cold calling?
Out of cold calling, I think I had 6.
6. Okay, great. Now watch how interesting this gets. Do you know an average sales price that you have right now? 300. 300 average 2.5%. Okay, cool. It's $7,500. So it's $7,500 times the 6 closings that you had is roughly $45,000 a year. 45 grand a year, as an example. Instead of doing 3 hours a week, 3 hours a day, you did 6 hours a day, and this is your main focus. You're just going to be like, hey, I'm going to be the best in the world at cold calling, if that's what you choose as an example, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to tie everything together. So now not only are you going to double the amount of time you're doing prospecting, but now you're also going to find an area in your local market. Is there an area in your local market where you can do a $500,000 or $600,000 sale? Okay, great. Now watch how it happens now. Now he does twice the amount of prospecting, which generates now, instead of 6 closings per year, 12. Okay, all he did was that he just doubled the amount of time for prospecting. Okay, that's 12 closings per year, because before it was 6 closings at 300 is 1.8 million, right? Instead of 1.8, watch what happens. At 1.8 million, a 2.5% commission is something in the vicinity of what, 36, about 45 grand a year, or so, yeah. So 45 grand a year. So what happens now is that if you just double the amount of time you spend prospecting, now it's 12 closings per year at $600,000 sales price, right? Now everything changes. Now you're doing $7.2 million worth of production at the same commission percentage, which is 2.5%. Now it's about $175,000 a year. We didn't drastically change too much. and that can already 2.5x his income. If you become the greatest of all time in that one pillar, the amount of money that you can make will astronomically change. The problem is we try to do all things for all people, right?
I do have a question. So
Sure.
I did 21 transactions last year, but my sales price is anywhere. I'll take anything. Do you believe in riches in the niches? Do you believe in like only target waterfront properties, only target condos, only target?
No.
So you'll take anything and everything?
Of course I'll take anything, because then one thing can lead to another thing, and you never know. The problem is that, here's the thing though, I do believe in this. I do believe in taking out all of it, right? However, I think it's important about what you prospect. What you prospect is what you will sell. So the difference is that when you pull a list, you should not be prospecting for the tiny itty bitty $300,000 houses, right? You just shouldn't, right? Like we want to sell, like I want to prospect what I want to sell. I want to sell multi-million-dollar commercial properties. My average sales price right now is $2.78 million at $128,000 average commission check. Who here wants to make a $128,000 average commission check, right? And do 8 of them a month, right? So this is just to give you some perspective of like, now look, we're inching towards that. Now here's the thing, in my markets, I could not achieve these numbers. Because the one thing I'm going to talk about commercial for a moment, is that okay? So this is very difficult to achieve in the residential world. 4.6% average commission percentages, right? Unless we double end those deals, which again is very rare in the residential business. Let's just be honest, it's rare. In commercial, it's almost every deal for me. I double end almost every single deal. 98% plus of our transactions, I double end. So the reason being is because I'm going to walk you now through the process of how I sell commercial real estate, okay? A to Z, so that you can go do it on your own. So to give you some perspective, I work with investors. Who here works with investors, helping them find investment properties? Cool. I just do what you do, but I do it for a little bit more expensive properties. I do everything off market. I don't list a single property. None of my properties are listed. You will see 0 in my name. I don't want the fucking phone calls. Do not call me. One of my biggest pet peeves. Think about it like this in the commercial world. The only reason to me that someone would put a property on the market in the commercial real estate business is because they don't have a buyer for the property. Because the only reason why my team would get to the point where we need to put it on the market, let me walk you through our process. We get a lead through cold calling, mainly. Any one of our lead generation processes, we generate an opportunity. On that phone call, we vet the crap out of this individual. We get to know more of an understanding. If they're open to selling, of course. Tell me more about your property. What is it? How much do you want? Do you have any financials you can provide us? Right? They give us all the details, every bit of detail about the property. The difference between me and everyone in this room is that I'm a multi-lens agent. I'll explain what I mean by that. Instead of me pitching a listing on every single one of these properties, I actually make an offer to buy it. That's our process. So we generate between 1,000 and 2,000 leads a month. I make an offer on every single property. Does anybody know why? The goal here is that I want to know what they actually want. How many times have you been talking to a seller and they just bullshit you on the phone and they say, I want $1 million for my property, when in reality, they do want to sell and they'd probably take 700. So the difference is that in my world, I'm not sitting in a seller's fiduciary role, okay? I'm in a buyer fiduciary role is the way I view my business. I am looking for the best deals in the marketplace. My vision is like, look, I own a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio and I'm constantly looking to add to it. Right? I want a lot of cash flow. Does anybody else want cash flow? It's funny how most real estate agents have no fucking retirement plan, but they literally sell the greatest asset in the fucking world and they never buy it. It blows my mind. I love talking to people who've been in the industry for 40 years and they own no real estate. I'm like, what on God's green earth did you do with your money? Buy the asset that you fucking sell and that you're telling people to buy because it's such a great fucking investment, but you own none. It's like a financial advisor telling you to invest in fucking life insurance and they own none. Or telling you to buy stocks, but they own none. It makes no sense. And by the way, my very first investment property was a crappy little house, okay? And I had, right before that house had closed, I had made, I think, like $40,000 from in profit from the month before. I was like, hey, I'm ready to buy my first property to invest. I bought this little crap house. I invested in the house. I paid $155,000 for this property because I worked with a bunch of wholesalers at the time. I paid my buddy $5,000. He had it locked up for $150,000. I paid $155,000. This is the first deal I was doing 100% on my own. I had invested through my commissions in other deals. And I found out that the roof was completely fire damaged and I had no fucking idea. And I was like, oh God, this is it. I'm going to lose it all. This is terrible. What did I just do? And I called up an investor that I was doing some business with, and I said, hey, I got this deal, because he's like, hey, I'm always looking for properties. Find me something. I was like, hey, I have this deal for 190. First number I can think of, okay? There was no strategic idea behind what I was trying to sell my property for, but I said 190. And he said, I'll take it. I said, fuck, okay, great. And then 30 days later, after me closing on it, I sold the deal. I made another 35 or 40, after closing costs, like 35K in profit. So I took my initial 35 plus the 35. I bought a 4-family property for $750,000. I lived in one of the unit because I did an FHA loan, okay? Plus, I paid myself a commission. My buddy was the lender on the deal, so I got a lender credit on that deal as well. Renovated my apartment, lived there for, again, the period of time for 2 years. Sold the deal for $990,000, and then took that money, which was about, let's say, 150 plus my 70, so about $200,000. Bought another 4-family property at $665,000. I also was the representative on that deal. I did it with a hard money loan. I was in that deal for, I think actually a total about $100,000 actually to buy the deal. I renovated it using the bank's money. It was a hard money loan. I refinanced it about 6 months later after I put the money into it. That property I still own today. I have $500,000 worth of equity in it as an example. And I also cash flow $4,000 a month from that one investment. That piece of shit house that I was terrified to buy, now that same money, because I just kept rolling it, is now in a property that's worth $1.2 million. I have a $700,000 loan on it. I have $500,000 worth of equity, and it makes me $4,000 a month. Get invested in fucking real estate. You sell the greatest asset in the world. Right? So my vision in buying a lot of real estate, I want to be a billionaire one day. The only way I'm going to do that is through owning a lot of real estate. And I wanted to create a vehicle that generates the most investment opportunities possible. That's why I got into the commercial real estate business. I want to own a lot of commercial real estate. Therefore, I was like, hey, if I just build a sales team that can get really good at creating opportunities, and I'm the first person to look at all these opportunities, and I can make an offer first, so if they want to sell it for a discounted price, I have the opportunity to take a look at it first. This is where magic happens. Like, as an example, let me just give you one example here. Okay, this deal right here. Now look, I'm gonna make $265,000. This is a 19.27% commission. It's a commission fee, okay? I'm wholesaling this deal. Because this is what multi-lend strategy means. As an example, every single one of you guys comes across opportunities all the time. Now, look, I'm not gonna speak like a broker. I'm not gonna speak like a lawyer. This content as an example, if you're terrified about doing wholesaling, I'm not here to pitch you on the idea of wholesaling because NAR's up your ass on whatever it is, okay? I'm just gonna be honest. Quick plug of don't fucking come back to me and say I can't do this bullshit. In commercial, it's the wild fucking west, people, okay? I'm not a part of NAR. I'm not a part of an MLS. I don't have the same regulations that you do. So as an example, one of my sales team members prospected and found this warehouse. They said, make me an offer. I offered them $1 million to buy it. They said $1 million's too low. They said, we're gonna put it on the market for 1.5. I said, okay, I can understand that. Is there a number though that if you got all cash and you closed in 45 days or less, as is, that you would accept? They came back to us and they said, 1.1 million, we'll take it. Motivated situation. We locked this deal up for $1.1 million. We pitched it out to a bunch of our private individuals, our VIP buyers. We got someone to offer us $1.375 million, $100,000 deposit, 30-day cash close. This is closing at like the 2nd of August as an example. We're gonna make again, probably a $10,000 closing cost on this one. I'm gonna make $265,000 on a $1.1 million deal, right? That's a nearly 20% fee. So what I wanna share with you guys now is saying, hey, if you're stuck at, let's say, a few $100,000 a year, utilize my multi-lend strategy. Stop looking at every single piece of real estate through a fucking box. We are not robots. We do not operate unless the deal can be listed for sale, right? Like, that's not the only way to make money in this fucking business. I list nothing for sale. We're gonna do $1 million in GCI this month. Just to give you some perspective, what I care more about is that, hey, when I'm speaking to this individual, is this someone who actually wants to sell? Am I moving down a path where this person is going to transact or not? You know how many fucking people, it's the funniest thing in the world to me. People get in the commercial real estate business and they speak to somebody who wants to, who goes, make me an offer. Which, by the way, I own a lot of real estate. I get calls all the fucking time from people. And they all say, would you be open to selling it? I'm like, yeah, of course I'm open to selling it. Make me an offer, right? Because if you offered me a stupid fucking price, I would sell anything right now. I'm not stupid. I like money. So like, if you want to offer me a dumb price, then of course I will sell it. The problem is, most real estate agents, when they hear, make me an offer, they're like, holy shit, guys, I just spoke to this guy. He's got a $20 million property. He said he's open to selling it. I'm gonna make $1 million. And they're like so fucking excited about it. I'm like, let's just be honest. Everybody in the world is gonna say, make me an offer. It means nothing. This is why our strategy is to make an offer first on the property. Now, this is why you need to learn how to underwrite properties. Guys, I literally post content all the time, 24/7, 365 on YouTube. It's free content. I teach you how to underwrite properties. Okay? If you're wondering, just go there and watch it for free. Because once you understand what properties are truly worth, I can make an offer to buy it. Now look, let's be honest. Do I actually plan on buying every single fucking property? No, let's just be honest. I'm not gonna buy every property. But the whole purpose is to get an actual counter to get an understanding of where the seller is actually going to be. So when I was in the residential business, my philosophy was I'd be at the seller's table, this is gonna be my desk for a moment, and I'd be sitting across from the seller, I'm like, look, there's 3 different options for you today. You have an all-cash offer, which you can take. You have your 30-day close, like listed at 30-day price, will sell on the market, right? But you might have to deal with some inspection contingencies. And then you have the third price here, which you can also do as an example if you choose it as well, right? This is like the highest price in the market. If you get it, great, no pressure whatsoever. Which would you prefer? And I did this option a bunch of times, and guess what? We ended up buying half a dozen houses a year where I'd make, instead of a 2% commission, I'd wholesale the shit out of it. Through my partners, we'd flip it and I'd make 50 grand. Don't look at every piece of real estate through a fucking box. There are so many ways to make money in this real estate business, it's absolutely fucking ridiculous. And by the way, if you're in a market where you're like, hey, I got a really good deal, you can reach out to a lot of people in your market and find a way to wholesale that deal and make a percentage without it having to affect you, okay? I'm just gonna be honest. Like, everyone tries to, like, breathe this crazy, weird regulation shit on you. It's not real, because guess what? There are people in your market wholesaling hundreds of properties a month. There are, in every fucking market across the country, there's people doing it. My partner, we just sold a property, it was farmland, 300 acres. We locked it up for $1.2 million. It was the most ridiculous closing ever. Like, the title issues were the worst we've ever seen, ever in history. We sold it for $3 million. We wholesaled it. Just to give you some perspective, there are other ways to make money than selling single-family houses. Has anybody in this room sold anything besides a single-family house? I'm just curious. Okay? Okay, cool. So what I am urging you all to do today is to, like we've talked about, get more fucking consistent than you've ever been in your business before. Choose one lead generation strategy and become the best in the fucking world at it, and work 6 days a week if you need to. If you're unhappy with what your bank account says and you're not working weekends, you're out of your fucking mind. Just get a reality check. You just don't want to make more money, which is totally fine, but you have to own it. Next, hire a TC on a per transaction basis. Don't overthink this. It does not have to be complicated. It doesn't need to be expensive. But the way to grow is by following these strategies. In order to grow beyond that, you must target higher priced properties. You cannot continue selling the same sales price. And imagine 10 years from today, and you're selling the same fucking sales price. You failed in this industry. If you were selling the same type of fucking houses at the same fucking sales price in 10 years. If my average sales price isn't $5 fucking million minimum in 10 years, I fucked up. Especially with even inflation. Inflation's on our side, but you must be targeting. Remember, what you prospect, you will sell. Because guys, when you're calling, by the way, expireds and canceled data, or for sale by owner, that's not what you're targeting. I want you to understand, that's not targeted. Because what happens is the property expires and then you call them, and it could be any type, it could be a fucking mobile home. Right? You don't, like, it's not like you're not targeting a specific asset or a specific neighborhood. You're just calling expireds to call expireds. Look at it from the lens of what I want to prospect. What I want to sell is what I will prospect. If I want to sell more expensive commercial property, I'm going to target more expensive commercial property as an example. If you want to sell more expensive houses, you target specific neighborhoods and you call those specific neighborhoods. The difference here for a second in commercial is that it gives you the ability to double end most of your deals. It's very rare in the residential business that you're actually gonna double end transactions. So in order to make a couple extra bucks, which allows us to have 6-figure plus checks, this is, I don't know if I have the picture here, but I wanted to, this is just to give you an example of some of the checks, okay, right? 94,800, 143,000, 214,000, 50,000, 60,000, 62,800, 52,800, 167,000. This is a really nice day. 118,000 and 925 and a 365. I like that one. But just to give you an understanding, like these are checks that we collect all the fucking time, right? Like this is just to show you that like these deals are out here. None of this is rocket science. To give you another example, this is a 22-year-old sales guy. He signed 2 deals actually this week, but this was just one of them. This one was for $3,050,000 for 3% commission. Quick $100,000. Thanks. Have a nice day. But this is just to give you some perspective. Like he's only 2 years in the business, right? This week he put that deal into contract and he put another one for about $2.5 million for another $55,000, right? Which is actually going to close in September. Every single person in this room with a few key shifts, every one of you should be able to not only double your income, but possibly a 3 or 5x in your income over the next 24 to 36 months. It's not going to happen tomorrow, no matter what. Because even if you started prospecting commercial real estate tomorrow and you followed everything that we just talked about, and I'll even take the last little bit to really walk you step by step of exactly how we do this, right? To finish it off, to kind of really tie this all together. Follow one of these strategies here, and you'll still increase your income by 20%, right? But if you do nothing, nothing will change, and you will leave this event saying, hey, I had a fun time on the boat, and Alexis is dope, but you know, like you know, my business didn't really change. I'm gonna walk you through real quick the exact step by step. So in the commercial real estate business, it's not about anything listed for sale first and foremost. When someone says, hey, I want to buy a commercial property, okay, you ever get an investor who here has gotten an investor saying, I'm open to buying a commercial property? Has anybody ever gotten that? Okay. Number one, stop sending them LoopNet links, okay? You look like a fucking idiot. Okay? LoopNet, okay? Like when people are just like, oh, I want to help this guy who wants to buy a $2 million commercial property. By the way, commercial is literally anything besides a single family house. It's multifamily, it's hotels. Like this deal as an example, this is a hotel for $10.5 million. We're only making 2.5% commission on it. You know, sucks. But, you know, multifamilies, industrial, warehouses, shopping centers, all that, right? And by the way, you have to understand something. You all can, as an example, before I continue, you can just DM me if you have any questions, by the way. If you have a deal and you have questions, just DM me. We'll get on a phone call. We'll talk about it, okay? Anytime you guys get a buyer, they want off market. They don't want a listed property. Ignore everything you know in the residential business does not compute in the commercial real estate world. It does not compute. Stop targeting listed properties for sale. You look fucking stupid to investors because as an investor myself, I can go on LoopNet, which is the commercial real estate Zillow, and fucking look at the same property you're looking at. By the way, almost every investor does that, right? They just look at those properties every day. I mean, every night before I go to bed is one of the last things I do before I go to bed. I look at all the new listed properties in those markets that I like to buy in. I just want to know what's going on because sometimes, you know what I love preying on? Residential agents who list commercial properties for sale because they have no fucking idea what it's worth, right? It's my favorite thing in the world because they really have no idea and they might undervalue the crap out of it. I'm like, hey, I'll offer full price, right? Like, because they don't know. First and foremost, stop sending me, we want off-market properties. And you're like, okay, Henry, well, how do I find off-market properties? Well, again, on YouTube, I literally talk about this every single fucking day of the week. But what we do is we basically do targeted, very hyper-targeted circle prospecting in the commercial real estate business. Now, look, in order to get that kind of data at the cheap side is a software called Reonomy. If you want to buy it, it's like $400 to $500 a month. Again, that's about as cheap as it's going to get in order to get you some data in the commercial real estate business.
How do you spell that?
Reonomy, R-E-O-N, I think it's E-M-Y or O-M-Y, Reonomy, okay? That software, we export a lot of data every month, okay? And we rip phone calls and we do hyper-targeted criteria and we rip calls. So like I just talked to you guys about you know, prospecting what you want to sell, we just do the same thing for commercial real estate. It's the same exact concept. We prospect this individual. Let's just say I want to buy a multifamily property, which by the way, who here sold a two, three, or four family house before? I figure it's a very simple thing, right? Like you can start graduating into commercial real estate by selling small multifamilies. It's a very easy transition. So just like you'd call it 2 or 3 or 4 family, I was just calling 5 to 20 units or 5 to 50 units or 5 to 100 units, right? So you're calling multifamily properties. We get somebody on the phone, we vet them out a little bit. We ask them a little bit more about their property. Let's say they have 10 apartments. Let's say all of them are 2-bedroom apartments. They're all getting $1,000 a month in rent. The guy wants $2 million as an example. I'm not going to dive into how to underwrite the property, but we evaluate it. I personally evaluate it with my team. We get an understanding of what we believe it's worth. In this example, this guy's out of their fucking mind. It's not worth anywhere close to $2 million. I would probably offer like 700 grand, okay? I offer $700,000 on this property. For this example, I know it's kind of extreme, but let's just say they come back and they say, hey, I would never take $700,000. I want $2 million or I'm not selling this property. Does this sound like a motivated seller? No. Absolutely fucking not. You know what every residential agent does? Let me please list it for sale, please. Please, I'll list it for sale. Please. When can I go to your place and list the property for sale? It doesn't make any sense. It's the dumbest thing in the world. You waste a bunch of time, energy, and effort, and guess what? You might get the listing, and kudos to you. And it'll never fucking sell. And then I'm the investor looking like, that's the dumbest, most overpriced property I've ever fucking seen. It's like a fucking 3.5% cap rate, which, some of you might know what that is or not. The point is like, you look stupid. You don't need to, it's like, imagine having a house in a neighborhood, the average sales price is 500 grand, you just listed it for $1 million. That's what you just did. That's how silly you look. I offer 700, different example. They say they were willing to take $1 million, okay? Ignore the 2 million. They want $1 million. I offer 700. He comes back and he says he'll take 800, 850. Okay, we're in business now. We're somewhere in a ballpark. What I will now do is that I will now take that property and I will pitch it to my VIP buyers, which by the way, you want to know how to get VIP buyers in any market for commercial real estate? All you do is you reverse look up what has sold in the last 12 to 24 months in that specific market, that specific asset class. That's it. Don't overcomplicate it. All the buyers are public information. You can literally look at anybody who's just bought properties in that local market. I call all of those people. If I don't have anybody, I mean, at this point we have lots of buyers that we call, but if you have nobody, you call all those people. The person who just bought another 10 family in the market for close to $1 million. Another person who bought like an 8 family, a guy who bought a 12 family, a guy who bought a 7 unit. You call all these people up. You say, hey, hey John, I saw you just, hey John, my name is Henry, EXP Commercial. I saw you just bought a property right around the corner at 123 Main Street. I was just curious, if I found you another multifamily, similar to the one that you have here, would you be open to taking a look at it? Yeah, sure. Obviously, most people who just bought property or they own a couple multifamily properties in a market or any, if they own a multiple of some asset class and you say you can find them another one, they're probably going to be interested in buying another one, right? Like, let's just be honest. You got another good deal? Great. Show it to me. I want to see it. We pitch it out. We get a bunch of offers. We know the seller's willing to take 800 as an example. I'll pitch this deal out at $1 million just to get some interest. Let's just say they come back and they say, hey, best number I'm willing to do is 900. The seller then says, hey, the best number I'm willing to do is actually 850. I talked to my family about it. I talked to my accountant about it. Talked to my attorney about it. I talked to my goldfish about it. And I need to make $850,000, right? Okay, great. And all we do now is that we keep this property off market. We send an offer to purchase on this property for $900,000 with our fee on it of $50,000. Seller accepts because they net exactly what they want to net. Everyone has a nice fucking day. We make $50,000. That's exactly how we did every single one of these transactions on the screen. Jesus Christ. I'm not skilled. Okay, so that's exactly how we've done every single one of these. As an example, this person here, they wanted $5.5 million. I initially offered this guy $3.5 million. They actually countered us saying after many times of going back and forth over and over and over again, we got this guy down to $4.2 million. We got our buyer to 4.4, and we actually got the seller to agree to a 5-point commission. This car wash, they originally wanted $750,000. We made them an offer of $250,000 to start. They came back to us saying after multiple negotiations, they wanted $425,000 net. We went to a buyer, pitched it at $650,000. Best offer we got was $550,000. We took it, we're making $125,000 in a wholesale. This deal here, this is a small little deal in New Jersey. This person wanted $900,000 to start. We offered $450K to start. It's an environmentally damaged property. They came back to us saying that they wanted to net $600K. We went back and forth 100,000 times with buyers when the environmental damaged properties are really, really difficult to sell. We finally got someone to pay $650. Based on everything else, we were only willing to take a 5% commission. They kind of were not happy with us making 6%. It was a weird thing. The family members, the real estate agent, their father's brothers, uncles, Sam, something like that. Someone has a real estate license. They didn't want to make it 5%. Next deal. They wanted this deal. They originally wanted. This guy actually initially told us he wanted $850,000 net to me. No other, no fees, no nothing. I want to walk away with a check for $850,000 after everything. We pitched this deal out a gajillion times. We finally got some lunatic to pay $875,000. So we're going to make $25,000, okay? This one here, mobile home park. This one here has actually been on contract for literally a fucking year. I'm so excited to get this one off our fucking plate. Thank fuck. This guy wanted $1.7 million after back and forth negotiations. They originally wanted, I think, $2.5 million. We offered 1.5. They settled at a net of 1.7. We got a buyer to pay 1.75. He's getting a fucking steal. Happy for him. We're only making 286. He wouldn't pay more. The seller wouldn't take less. Whatever. This Linda Hotel, this one originally started at $12 million. We offered them $8 million to start. We went back and forth a bunch of times. We actually got an offer for $10.2 million. The guy declined. The guy was like, listen, if I don't net $10.25 million, I'm not doing this deal. You can do it whatever way you want. I'm not selling this property for anything less than 10.25. We somehow got our buyer to pay 10.5. We kind of got the guy to agree to 2.5%. So, it's just a clean number. This deal here, this guy, we went back and forth. Originally wanted $2.5 million. We negotiated down to 2.15. We pitched out to a seller. This went back and forth a gajillion times. Got the seller to agree to 2.1 million net. We got the guy to pay us 2.15. We're making 50K. This is the wholesale deal I told you about. Went back and forth. We got him to lock up at 1.1. We pitched this deal out to a bunch of different buyers. We got a guy to pay a $1.375 million sales price. We're wholesaling this deal. I get to decide because I have the fucking power. I am working for these buyers to find them wonderful off-market deals. If I find a really, really good deal at 1.1 million and it still makes sense to them on investment-wise, okay, to pay 1.375 million and they're still desperate to buy this deal, I should make more money. I found you a really good deal. Just because I'm a wonderful negotiator doesn't mean I should make less money. And that's it. That totals at 22.5, whatever. We're going to average 4.63. So our entire process is 100% off market. We generate the opportunities. We find the buyers. We pitch them deals all day long. In the commercial real estate business, I would tell you this, here's 3 quick steps to make money in commercial real estate right now, okay? Number 1, find an asset class that you're somewhat comfortable with. If it's multifamily, great. If it's shopping centers, great. If it's any asset class that you kind of have some level of understanding about, I want you to circle prospect for buyers in that market first. Buyers in your local market first, find 5 to 10 good buyers you would bet your career on in that local market. That's first. Step 1, find some good buyers. And you're going to keep going until you have at least 5 buyers minimum in that local market who want the same type of product. Because the problem is, some people, they get a buyer and they're like, oh my God, guys, I got this buyer who wants to buy $50 million properties. I'm so excited. This is going to be unfucking believable. I'm going to make $1 million. And guess what? You don't even know how to find deals for this fucking person. You keep sending them fucking LoopNet listings. You look like a fucking idiot, right? Or number 2, you find a bunch of properties, but you're relying on this one person to buy these deals. And if this person doesn't want to buy it, what the fuck are you going to do now? So what I do is that I like to have 5 to 10 buyers who are looking for the same exact type of asset. So I can go to 1, he says no, great, go to 2, he says no, great, go to 3, he says no, great, and I keep going down the line. Someone's got to fucking buy it. Probably, I guarantee, because here's the thing, there's only 2 reasons why a deal won't sell. It's either the price or you're talking to the wrong buyer. That's it. Because if the price is right, you're talking to the wrong fucking buyer. So start with finding buyers in your local market who all want the same asset class. Number 2, prospect your fucking face off for that asset class, right? Just like you would cold call, expireds, cancels, whatever for residential houses, you're gonna do the same thing for commercial. You're just gonna prospect one asset class, one thing, one area. Don't diversify, just be really fucking niche to start. You can be really diversified later down the road because we sell, as you can see, a bunch of different random shit, okay? I wouldn't say to do that to begin with. But let's say it's multifamily, you just prospect for those buyers first, you get 5 to 10 of them who are very seasoned. By the way, we wanna be greedy for a moment. What would you want specifically as a buyer? I want you to own 10 to 20 properties. I want you to be buying 2 or 3 properties minimum per year. I want you to be easy to work with. I want you to be making offers literally the day I send you the deal, right? If we wanna be greedy for a second, right? Great. So if you're speaking to somebody and they're like, hey, yeah, I got a few $100,000 laying around, and I'm always in the market to look for something, but I don't own anything. But this will be my first investment. I'm not fucking working with you. I'm just gonna be honest for a second. Like I'm not working with first-time investors, because what's the odds of a first-time investor who hasn't bought something for the last 20 fucking years? They didn't buy in COVID when interest rates were 1%. Like, why would you buy now when interest rates are 7? They're not. So stop working with first-time investors. So we work with seasoned players. Let's say you find 5 to 10 of those seasoned players, you prospect for exactly what they're looking for, and step 3 is now you spend at least 2 to 3 hours a day pitching the deals you just generated to the 5 to 10 people, and you do it only over the phone. And you say, hey, John, as soon as I'm calling somebody up, I'm gonna say, hey, John, are you in front of a computer? Right? I'm talking to my buyer for a second. Hey, John, it's Henry again, EXP Commercial. Are you in front of a computer? Yes, great. Look up the property, 123 Main Street. I'm giving them the fucking address. Everyone's like so scared. They're like, no, you can't get the information. They're like, guys, like when it comes to NDAs or CAs, let's just be fucking real. Even if they did have if they signed all these documents and then they still went around you, they can still do that, right? Like it doesn't make it illegal for them to do it. They can still screw you over, right? So I'm just like, I'd rather know today. Are you gonna screw me over or not? I just wanna know, because if I'm gonna make you $1 million a year for the rest of your life, you probably shouldn't fuck me over. But if you want to, that's your fucking loss. So here's the address. We're gonna look it up and I'm gonna pitch them this deal. The reason why I do it over the phone is because I want to handle the objections in real time. Because the problem is a lot of people just go, send them an email and say, let me know what you think. It's the fucking worst thing in the world. It's just like, think about it. Ladies, as an example, your girlfriend, you're single, your girlfriend sends you a picture of a guy, let me know what you think. Ooh, no. Never fucking sending a goddamn message back. Same thing for a guy. You get a picture like, hey, I want to set you up with my girlfriend. No, like that's it. Like they're not even messaging this person back. I don't want to fucking deal with that. I want to be on the fucking phone. I want to be able to handle the objection in real time. If they say no to me on the phone, I'm like, listen, you actually, funny enough, you said you're interested in 10 or 20 unit properties. Here's a 10 unit property. You bought a property for $1 million. This is $1 million. I'm just curious, what makes you so different that you wouldn't be interested in buying it? Even though he just said no to me, I get to get more information. He says, well, I don't really like the area. It's interesting because like, okay, but you told me you wanted to buy in this county. Yeah, but I don't like this town. Okay, understood. So just out of curiosity, other than it just being in the wrong area, is there anything you don't like about this property? No. If this was in any other town, I'd buy it. Hypothetically, this is a rent-controlled town as an example, right? He doesn't want to buy a rent-controlled property. New Jersey, where I'm from, where I sell a lot of real estate, has a lot of terrible rent control. I fucking hate it, makes no sense, I'm very against it. But as an example, like you can get all this type of information, so you're like, instead of writing this person off, like, oh, this guy's an asshole, he doesn't want to buy deals even though I found him a good deal, right? You can get more information. And by the way, there's even times where I've saved deals. We're like, hey, like, I'm not really interested in this deal. Tell me more about why you're not interested. Well, I think the price is too high. Okay, great. At what price would this make sense for you to move forward? And they say, well, you told me you wanted $1 million. I can only make sense to 700,000. Great. Would you put that in writing? Yeah, I'd buy it at 700. Great. Let's put it in writing. I already know the seller's willing to take 850. So it's like, why on planet Earth would I not have him write it up at 700,000? We'll write it up at 700. But here's the cool thing. When you get him to put something in writing, they become more attached. So I want him to put it in writing as fast as possible. We'll write up an offer, we'll submit it, and we go back and forth. And sometimes we get a deal done and make 25K, or sometimes we get a deal done and make 265 grand. Last thing I'll say to you guys is this. We talked about a lot of different things. If you implement all of it, I think there's someone in this room who can make $1 million in the next 2 to 3 years. There's someone in this room who will make over $1 million in the next 2 to 3 years if you just follow everything I said. There's also gonna be people in here who nothing fucking changes. You're gonna be in the same exact place. You've maybe been in the same place for the last couple years, and you'll be in the same couple place for the next couple years. However, there will be somebody in this room, as an example, who will even consider starting to prospect commercial just like I did, right? I was doing 100 plus transactions a year, guys, and I sold one commercial deal and I made over 100,000 bucks. I was like, fuck, I want more of these. I want more of these stacks, right? I want more of these stacks. I want to be making this every single month, or every paycheck that I collect that hits my account, I want it to be one of these. And maybe that's you and maybe it's not. I'm not telling you to sell commercial real estate, because honestly, it's got its own messes. Right? It's not the easiest thing in the world. You have to deal with your own shit. It's not like residential's easier, commercial's easier. They're both, choose your hard, right? But I'll say this. If you're interested in buying real estate, which many of you guys did, I would tell you that selling commercial real estate will be the one step that you've been looking forward to, where, hey, even if hypothetically you just sold one commercial deal a year, right? You sold one commercial deal a year and maybe you made 125K or even 50K. And you lived off your resi income and you took your commercial income and you invested it into a property. I'm telling you, your bloodline will change because of one simple adjustment you made in your business. So I'm not saying you need to, maybe do what we're trying to do, and maybe you want to, maybe you don't. But I do urge every single person in this room to at least possibly pick up the phone for a commercial real estate deal. Again, you can reach out to me at any time if you want. I'm here for whatever you need questions-wise. Ask any questions you want, but I want every single person in this room to earn a six-figure check. Whether it's this year or next year, I'm here to support you guys in doing so, walk you through the entire process. All my content is free, and other than that, guys, I appreciate you guys for having me. Thank you, man.